So starting with kind of that general everyday classroom material kind of concept, most classroom educators, particularly in primary grades K through 3, are really focusing in on making sure that children understand the sounds in our language, and that those sounds are associated with different letters, and each letter has a structure. So most classrooms are going to have some type of a letter manipulative, or possibly letter tiles or letter cards that students are actually manipulating and putting together to build some words based on the sounds that they're hearing.
Okay.
Some kiddos are going to build small words, 2 sound words, 3 sound words to start, and then from there, the words become more multisyllabic, multiple syllables, and every one of those syllables would be spelled letter by letter by letter.
Okay.
And this is important information and learning for every child, including kiddos who have really complex communication needs.
Okay.
They have to have access to this learning about sounds in language, and that those sounds are represented by letters, and that letters build words. And the words are what we see on pages and what we read, and that there's a way to read both words and write words.
Okay.
Sometimes for students who have communication challenges, letters are also used to access communication and language. So the way that many students start, they're probably not going to start off by spelling. Certainly not by spelling really complex words. They may know the beginning sound. They may be able to associate that with a letter pretty early on and make that letter selection. So I want to show kind of from the beginning to how we get to this letter system for students who have really complex communication needs.
Okay.
So one way that little folks or people who are working on communication early on, they may represent communication by gestures, facial expressions, body language, pulling on you to get something that they want, dragging you over to a location to show you what they mean. Sometimes they may use objects. So all of these objects that we're using related to some of the literacy in the books that we've been talking about could potentially be an object used for communication. They may hand it to you and it may mean something to them and they're trying to communicate. So objects can be, with all the gestures and et cetera, are communication modes.
Right.
When students there's an understanding that these objects are also could be represented by an image, whether it's a photograph or a symbol or something like that. We can also encourage students to use images to support communication and language. So what I have here, and many of these are, again, free, downloadable from either websites that communication companies have built in some cases, but available also by link on the Literacy Access for All website as well. But these are core boards. So core boards are typically set up with a left-right progression of some type. Many of them have some color coding to them. You can kind of see here that the question words are all in blue, and those early onset kind of sentence starters with pronouns are in this yellow, and then the language builds from there. Okay. So there are different kind of zones in most of the core boards. And again, that left-right progression is helpful because when we talk, the words on the page, if we happen to be writing it, would also have that left-right progression as well. So some of these have features that help us build also not just language, but writing skills down the road. So there are lots of different types of core boards out there. And the core boards, first and foremost, come from the most highly used words in our language systems. There were lots of studies done, and these are the primary words, the most prolific words that are used as we communicate with other people. So not a lot of nouns, ironically enough. A lot of pronouns, sometimes descriptors on occasion, verbs, quite a few verbs. You can see often verbs are represented in the green. And communication boards, including core boards, can be malleable, so you can add to them as well. The hard part, though, I don't know if you can see within the communication board, we can start building a sentence like I like or I want. I like, I want, I need, and then it's kind of like, if you need something specific, then what? So then we would talk about fringe vocabulary. So, and you mentioned the pod book because this is a pod book, happens to be one. There's a core board on the front that I've affixed to the pod book, so not native to the pod book, but and then the pod book is actually organized. I'll try to hold this up, but you can kind of see organized a little bit by topic or category. So when I say I want something, I kind of need to know then topically where's the rest of my sentence? How do I go in and elaborate on what it was that I was trying to say? And hopefully, if we can teach students that words also have meaning and they're clustered by topic, like for example, you can kind of see here some of these are topically associated with feelings or topically associated with clothing or places like schools or different animals, things they may be learning about. So if we can get them to understand what the fringe category is, we can take them to a specific page. So let's say I want to go to school, that's on 11. I'm going to flip to my page 11, and there are actually, I'll show you this, 11 tabs. Lots to talk about with school. So you can kind of see here, could be on the first page, second page, or third page of the topical list here. Oops.
So the student really is learning what is in each of these sections to know where to navigate to.
Right. So this is really instructionally based. So as we're talking about all these things, whether it's numbers or letters or science or math or whatever, we're using this to show them where that vocabulary is located and how they can communicate the things that they want to say during the day. We're modeling it. We may be partner assisting, so you may be helping me communicate and helping me navigate to the page that I want, but the students are making those selections. And then lastly, after we get back past that fringe vocabulary, whoops, on this side now, I flipped the book over. I'm going to go to that letter page again. You can kind of see here. Now I'm back to spelling. So there are those 3 layers, that core vocabulary, the most frequently words used, fringe vocabulary that helps us get to detail about what we're saying, and then the last is, if it's not here somewhere topically, can I start to spell it for you so that you can understand what I really want to say? All 3 layers are super important, especially moving into adulthood, to make sure that any person can say anything that they want to say for a lifetime. So that's why it's super critical that we have all these literacy skills, including the sound symbol, spelling, reading, writing skills attached to language and communication. And there are clearly bridges here that we can help all of our teachers, our education system navigate to get here. Lots of cool materials too.
Lots of cool materials, and it sounds like there are more.
There are lots, yes.
A lot more.
This is just one example, so many examples we could have picked.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you for sharing all of this.
Sure.